The reopening of the Cuba and U.S. embassies marked the beginning of a new stage in which both countries will need to iron out the lengthy list of differences that they both have in order to truly reestablish relations. Our correspondent in Washington now, Bianza Perez, with the details.
The people of the United States are highly in favor of the normalization of relations with Cuba. In a recent study conducted by the Associated Press, 3 out of 4 citizens believe that the U.S. should have diplomatic relations with the island.
It doesn't seem like the peoples of the countries really have that much of a difference. Even when I was a kid, you would hear interviews from people in Cuba, and they didn't hate America, and Americans didn't hate Cubans, but it was the governments seemed to be battling more than the peoples.
Though there is a high demand from citizens for this normalization, there are still differences between the two governments that need to be worked on, such as the return of Guantanamo Bay and the lifting of the economic blockade.
Ultimately, there will be no normalizations of relations without Guantanamo going back to the Cubans. How can you have a normal relations, and that's different from diplomatic relations? How can you have a normal relationship with the country if you've got a hostile military base in there?
Both countries expressed on Monday a willingness to have open and respectful dialogue about these differences. However, the U.S. has for half a century attacked the island nation and tried to interfere with their internal affairs. Experts question the willingness of the U.S. government to truly have an open mind moving forward.
The official policy of the U.S. towards Cuba remains to this day as being regime change, as codified into law in 1996 by the Helms-Burton bill. That is, any aid that goes to Cuba towards the island has to have the implicit or explicit goal of changing the government of Cuba. That's written in there, and so they have to get rid of that to move forward.
While both countries continue to work toward resolving these obstacles, the Cuban embassy in Washington, D.C. has begun to provide consular services to Cuban citizens who have awaited them for years. Bianza Perez, teleSUR, Washington, D.C.